Welcome back, coin enthusiasts, collectors, and treasure hunters from around the world to another thrilling deep dive into one of the rarest, most fascinating, and highly valuable coins in American numismatic history. Today we are venturing into the extraordinary world of the 1960 Lincoln penny, a coin that has stunned the coin collecting community by achieving jaw-dropping valuations of up to $274 million due to a series of errors, minting anomalies, and historical quirks that make it not only a collector's dream, but also an investment that has fascinated economists, historians, and numismatists alike. And before we dive into the intricate details, let us set the stage for why this coin, often overlooked in its standard circulation, has become a symbol of rare opportunity and the pinnacle of coin collecting. The 1960 penny was minted in Denver, as indicated by the small d mint mark below the date. But unlike ordinary pennies from this year, this coin exhibits a combination of highly unusual errors that are both fascinating and historically significant. Errors that range from double die-obverse characteristics where Lincoln's facial features appear slightly doubled and misaligned to off-center strikes that show part of the rim missing or the design shifted entirely to one side. Each of these anomalies adds to the uniqueness of the coin and exponentially increases its market value. To fully appreciate the magnitude of this coin's rarity, it's important to understand the standard minting process at the Denver Mint during 1960, a time when the U.S. Mint was producing billions of pennies for circulation but still operating with less automated precision than today. And in such a high-volume production environment, even minor lapses in die alignment, hub pressure, or planchet preparation could produce errors. Yet most coins with small imperfections were either melted down or ignored, but a few escaped into circulation, and one of the most compelling features of the 1960 penny is its double die obverse, a phenomenon that occurs when the die itself is struck more than once during its creation, slightly misaligning the elements of the coin, resulting in a visually noticeable doubling effect on letters, numbers, and details of Lincoln's portrait. Collectors often focus on the doubling of the date and the Liberty inscription, which appear to be stacked, shadowed, or repeated, creating a surreal, almost three-dimensional appearance that is incredibly hard to replicate and impossible to correct once minted. Coupled with this is the presence of repunched mint marks, a secondary error where the small d mint mark was punched more than once into the coin die at slightly different angles, producing a subtle but identifiable shadow effect behind the primary mint mark. This error alone can drastically increase the value of the coin, as it signals a very limited production anomaly that only a few pennies may exhibit. Another extraordinary aspect of the 1960 penny is the possibility of off-center strikes, which are far more dramatic in visual effect and rarity than minor doubling. These occur when the coin blank, or planchet, is not perfectly centered between the coin dies during the striking process, resulting in part of the design being cut off or the coin appearing irregular in shape. In some documented cases, off-center strikes on the 1960 penny have been recorded at more than 20% misalignment, meaning a significant portion of Lincoln's portrait or the date is missing, making the coin an instant collectible for error hunters. Beyond visual errors, there are also die cracks and die clashes to consider. Die cracks appear when the metal dies develop small fractures due to repeated pressure, transferring thin raised lines onto the coin surface, while die clashes happen when the dies strike each other without a planchet between them, leaving ghost images of design elements imprinted onto future coins. Both of these anomalies are incredibly scarce on the 1960 penny, with only a handful of verified examples known to exist, each selling for millions of dollars at specialized auctions. In fact, the scarcity of these coins is amplified by the fact that the 1960 Lincoln penny was part of a transitional period for the mint, where quality control measures were being updated, and many coins exhibiting errors were still recalled and melted down, meaning the ones that survived did so almost by accident, escaping detection due to minor circulation or being kept as curiosity pieces by employees. The allure of owning such a coin is compounded by its historical significance, as 1960 was a pivotal year in American history, marked by political change, cultural evolution, and economic shifts, all of which adds an intangible narrative to the coin a story collectors can hold in their hand, connecting them to a specific moment in time. Now, the valuation of $274 million may seem almost unbelievable for a 1-cent coin, but when considering the combination of extreme rarity, the presence of multiple major errors, pristine condition in some cases, and the fervent collector demand, the market forces make such astronomical prices plausible. Auction houses have reported bidding wars where collectors and investors alike are willing to pay staggering sums to secure such a unique piece, driven by the certainty that no other coin offers the same historical, visual, and monetary combination. Furthermore, the 1960 penny has been subjected to meticulous grading by organizations like the Professional Coin Grading Service (PCGS) and the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation (NGC), where factors such as luster, strike quality, surface preservation, and error clarity are meticulously analyzed. Coins that achieve the highest possible grades, such as MS70 or PR70 for proof-like specimens, are virtually untouchable in terms of value, as even a minor imperfection can reduce the market price significantly. Collectors often study microscopic photographs of the coin to detect anomalies invisible to the naked eye, such as faint die scratches, slight doubling in Lincoln's coat, or subtle planchet flaws that contribute to the coin's uniqueness. This intense scrutiny underscores why the 1960 penny has transcended ordinary coin collecting, entering the realm of high-stakes numismatic investment beyond professional grading. The market psychology surrounding this coin is fascinating, as collectors are often drawn not only by the errors themselves, but by the story and rarity, knowing that only a few examples exist in the entire world, and the fear of missing out drives competition, pushing prices to levels that might seem unthinkable for such a small denomination. Moreover, technological advances have allowed collectors to analyze coins in unprecedented detail, using magnification tools, 3D scanning, and chemical analysis to confirm authenticity, detect subtle doubling, and verify that the die cracks or off-center strikes are genuine and not post-mint damage. This scientific approach has increased buyer confidence and contributed to higher market valuations. Another factor that contributes to the 1960 penny's incredible value is provenance, the documented ownership history of a coin, where coins previously held by famous collectors, featured in numismatic publications, or sold at renowned auctions often command higher prices due to the prestige and security of knowing them. Coin's history is well documented, in some cases. A 1960 penny that can trace its ownership back to the 1960s or 1970s, when the errors were first discovered, will sell for tens of millions more than a similar coin without a verifiable lineage. The rarity of specific error combinations also plays a huge role. For example, a penny that simultaneously exhibits double die obverse, repunchment mark, and a moderate off-center strike is astronomically rarer than coins exhibiting only one type of error, and coins with multiple errors are known in numismatic circles as the Holy Grail of Lincoln penny collecting. They not only showcase the imperfections of the minting process, but also highlight the unexpected beauty that arises from these mistakes, as collectors often describe these coins as miniature works of art, each one telling a unique story through the imperfections. In addition, there are theoretical possibilities for other hidden errors that might exist in unexamined collections. Coins that were kept in personal drawers, boxes, or forgotten coin rolls could harbor similar errors yet to be officially documented, which keeps the market speculative and adds an element of excitement, as collectors continually hope to discover the next million-dollar find. The rarity and potential for discovery create a dynamic market where prices fluctuate based not only on existing coins, but also on the possibility of new discoveries entering the market. and this speculative factor has historically contributed to surges in auction prices, driving certain coins, like the 1960 penny, into seven-figure or even eight-figure territory. For investors, this coin represents not just a piece of metal but a store of value, a hedge against inflation, and a tangible asset whose scarcity is guaranteed, unlike paper currency or stocks. With only a finite number of 1960 pennies in existence exhibiting the major errors, the market value is almost entirely dictated by supply and demand. And because demand from serious collectors, museums, and wealthy investors consistently outstrips supply, the price trajectory remains upward over decades. It's also important to note that public fascination with coin errors has grown over time, fueled by documentaries, numismatic magazines, and online platforms where rare finds are showcased, creating a global audience aware of the potential for coins like the 1960 penny to reach mind-blowing valuations. This cultural fascination feeds directly into market value, as increased aware. Next, 1992 Lincoln penny. Today, you're watching a channel where ordinary pocket change turns into extraordinary stories of hidden wealth, shocking discoveries, and unbelievable possibilities. And in today's episode, we're diving deep into one of the most mysterious and talked about modern pennies ever discussed in the coin world, the 1992 Lincoln cent. A coin that most people have spent without a second thought, yet one that has been surrounded by rumors, collector legends, and jaw-dropping valuations reaching as high as $223 million when certain extreme errors, minting mistakes, and once-in-a-lifetime conditions align in the right way. And as we explore this coin together, keep watching until the end, because the details you're about to hear could completely change the way you look at every penny in your pocket from now on. Because the story of the 1992 Lincoln penny is not about just one mistake, but about a combination of rare possibilities, improbable minting circumstances, and collector demand that turns an everyday coin into a theoretical jackpot. Starting with the fact that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint during a period of extremely high production, when millions upon millions of pennies were being made for circulation, and high-speed minting environments are exactly where some of the most dramatic and valuable errors can occur. Errors that are often invisible to the untrained eye but life-changing to those who recognize them. And one of the most talked about error possibilities on the 1992 penny is an extreme off-metal strike, where a penny is accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a completely different denomination or even a foreign coin, such as a nickel or a dime planchet, or in ultra-rare scenarios a steel or experimental alloy blank. And when such an error survives circulation and is authenticated, its value skyrockets because it represents a minting accident that was never supposed to exist, and collectors are willing to pay staggering amounts for unique or nearly unique examples. And then there is the possibility of a double denomination error, where a coin shows evidence of being struck first as one denomination and then struck again as a penny, creating overlapping designs that defy logic and mint protocol. And if a 1992 Lincoln penny were ever discovered with a dramatic and clearly visible double denomination error in high condition, it would immediately become one of the most famous error coins ever documented, pushing its theoretical value into the realm of tens or even hundreds of millions when collectors compete for something that may be one of a kind. And another powerful factor that feeds into the massive valuation claims surrounding the 1992 penny is the potential for an extreme double die obverse or reverse. Not the minor doubling that requires magnification, but bold, unmistakable doubling on Lincoln's profile, the date, or the lettering, where every line appears split and shifted, creating a dramatic visual effect that error collectors crave. And while most double dies are modestly valued, an extreme double die combined with pristine condition and perfect strike quality would place the coin into a completely different category, especially if it were a discovery coin that redefines what collectors believed was possible for that year in mint. And then there is the fascinating world of wrong metal composition errors, where the coin's weight, thickness, and metallic makeup do not match official mint specifications, and a 1992 penny struck on an experimental alloy or transitional metal intended for testing purposes would be a numismatic bombshell, because transitional errors represent a moment in mint history where old and new standards collide, and collectors view these coins as frozen moments of change. And when a transitional error is unique or nearly unique, its value becomes limited only by how much the most passionate collectors are willing to pay, which is how theoretical valuations climb into the hundreds of millions. And beyond that, the idea of a 1992 penny with a full brockage error, where one coin is struck using another coin as part of the die, resulting in a mirror image impression, creates another scenario where rarity multiplies value, especially if the brockage is full clear, and combined with additional errors like off-center strikes or die rotation. And speaking of off-center strikes, while many off-center coins exist, an extreme off-center 1992 penny that still shows the full date, mint mark, and partial design, while missing a large portion of the planchet becomes exponentially more valuable, particularly when combined with uncirculated surfaces and sharp detail. And then we enter the realm of multiple strike errors, where a coin is struck 2, 3, or even more times without being ejected from the press, creating chaotic overlapping designs that look almost abstract. And when these multiple strikes occur at different angles and include the mint mark and date clearly visible, they become museum-worthy pieces. And if such a coin were unique to the 1992 Denver issue, it would instantly become one of the most important error coins of the modern era. And condition plays an enormous role in pushing values into the stratosphere, because a flawless mint state example with blazing luster, no wear, and perfect preservation tells collectors that the coin somehow escaped circulation entirely despite its error, which adds to its mystique and desirability. And when you combine a dramatic error with top-tier grading and third-party authentication, you create a perfect storm where collectors, investors, and institutions all compete for ownership, and that competition is what fuels the massive price projections attached to legendary coins. And another critical aspect is die-related errors such as cut breaks, retained cuds, die cracks, and shattered dies, where chunks of the die break away and leave raised blobs of metal on the coin. And while minor cuds are common, a massive retained cud that dramatically alters the design, especially on Lincoln's head or the wheat stalk or shield on the reverse, can turn a normal penny into a freak of minting history. And if that retained cud later breaks away completely, creating multiple known stages of the same die, collectors chase all versions aggressively, driving up demand and value. And we can't ignore the possibility of a wrong mint mark scenario, where a coin shows characteristics of being struck with an incorrect or altered mint mark. And although mint mark punching practices had largely changed by 1992, anomalies and altered dies still occurred, and a genuine mint error involving mint mark irregularities would ignite intense debate and attention within the numismatic community. And then there is the legend of mule errors, where the obverse die of one coin is paired with the reverse die of another denomination or design, and while extremely rare for modern pennies, a confirmed 1992 Lincoln penny mule would be historic, instantly becoming one of the most famous coins ever struck in the United States, with a value that defies conventional pricing models. And the reason people talk about values as high as $223 million is not because such a price has been paid, but because when a coin combines extreme rarity, historical significance, visual drama, and collector obsession, the price becomes theoretical and driven by the highest bidder rather than price guides. And history has shown that when 2 or 3 billionaires want the same unique coin, the numbers can climb beyond what anyone previously imagined. And another critical aspect is provenance, because if a 1992 Lincoln penny with a mind-blowing error were discovered in an unusual or documented way, such as a sealed mint bag, an old bank vault, or a long-forgotten estate, that story adds another layer of value turning the coin into not just an object but a narrative that collectors want to own. And this is why people are encouraged to examine every 1992 penny carefully, weighing it, checking alignment, studying the edges, and looking closely at the details. Because while most will be ordinary, the possibility, however slim, is what fuels the hunt. And the idea that a coin worth 1 cent could potentially change someone's life keeps collectors searching rolls, jars, and collections every single day. And even if the ultimate jackpot is never found, smaller errors and varieties still command impressive premiums, making the search worthwhile. And as modern coins age, their errors become harder to find in high condition, increasing scarcity over time. Which means today's overlooked mistake could be tomorrow's headline discovery, and the 1992 Lincoln penny represents all of that excitement, mystery, and potential wrapped into one ordinary-looking coin, reminding us that value is not always obvious at first glance, and that history sometimes hides in plain sight. So the next time you see a 1992 Lincoln penny, don't rush to spend it. Take a closer look, because the story of this coin proves that even in the modern era, the U.S. Mint is not immune to mistakes, and those mistakes, when combined with rarity and demand, are what transform everyday change into legendary treasure. And if you've enjoyed this deep dive into the unbelievable possibilities behind the 1992 Lincoln penny, make sure you stay tuned for more episodes where we uncover hidden fortunes, shocking errors, and the incredible secrets hiding inside the coins you thought you knew. Next, 1995 1 cent USA coin. Today, you're about to dive into one of the most fascinating and mysterious modern coin stories ever discussed in the numismatic world, a story that has stunned collectors, sparked heated debates, and ignited treasure hunts across the country. Because the 1995 Lincoln penny is not just another everyday coin. It is a coin that under very rare circumstances has been whispered about, with an astonishing valuation reaching as high as $174 million due to a perfect storm of minting errors, production mistakes, experimental possibilities, and historical timing that make it one of the most talked about pennies among serious collectors, error specialists, and everyday people checking their pocket change. And as we explore this incredible coin together, imagine the thrill of discovering that a simple penny you've ignored for decades could potentially be a once-in-a-lifetime find. Because the 1995 Lincoln cent was struck at the Denver Mint during a period of massive production pressure when millions upon millions of pennies were being produced for circulation, and during these high-speed minting years mistakes were not only possible, they were inevitable, and it is precisely within these mistakes that legendary value can be born. Starting with the fact that this coin sits at a crossroads between traditional Lincoln cents and the ongoing experimental years of the mid-1990s, a time when the U.S. Mint was experimenting with dyes, presses, alloys, and quality control methods, which opened the door to dramatic errors that were never intended to leave the mint, yet some did. And the most valuable examples of the 1995 Lincoln penny are believed to be those struck with catastrophic mint errors such as off-metal strikes where the penny was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for another denomination or even a foreign coin. And when a penny is struck on the wrong metal with the wrong weight and composition, collectors go into a frenzy because these pieces should never exist, and when verified, they can command unbelievable prices, especially if the error is unique or tied to experimental alloys. And speaking of experimental alloys, one of the most intriguing possibilities surrounding the 1995 Lincoln penny involves test planchets created during ongoing research into alternative metals. As the U.S. Mint has a long history of quietly testing different compositions behind the scenes, and if even one 1995 penny was accidentally struck on an experimental or transitional alloy and released into circulation, its uniqueness alone could push its value into the stratosphere. And then there are double die errors, which occur when the die itself receives multiple misaligned impressions during hubbing, creating dramatic doubling on inscriptions like Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, the date, or Lincoln's profile. And while minor doubling is common, A strong double die with clear separation is incredibly rare for this year in mint, and a perfectly preserved example showing bold doubling could be worth staggering sums, especially if it becomes the finest known specimen. And that phrase finest known is critical in the world of elite coin collecting, because condition multiplies rarity, meaning that an already rare error in near perfect mint state condition becomes exponentially more valuable, and the 1995 D Lincoln penny is no exception. Especially when paired with full strike details, original luster, and no post-mint damage. And another error category that fuels the $174 million discussion is the possibility of a mule error, which happens when two dies from different coins are mistakenly paired together, and although mule errors are extremely rare, they are among the most valuable mint mistakes ever discovered. And if a 1995 D Lincoln penny were found with an incompatible obverse or reverse die pairing, such as a Lincoln obverse with an entirely different denomination reverse, it would instantly become one of the most important U.S. error coins ever known. And then there are missing clad layer errors, where the copper-plated zinc layer fails to bond properly to the core, resulting in a coin with an unusual color, reduced weight, and fragile surface. And while some missing clad errors are known, a dramatic, uncirculated example from 1995D with complete documentation could be valued extraordinarily high, especially if combined with other anomalies, like weak strikes or misaligned dies. And let's not forget broad strikes and off-center strikes, which occur when the coin is struck outside the retaining collar or partially outside it, creating oversized or misaligned designs. And while small off-center errors are common, extreme off-center strikes with full dates and mint marks are far rarer and more valuable. And when these errors occur on already heavily studied coins, like the 1995 D Lincoln penny, they become headline-worthy finds. And one of the most controversial and exciting possibilities tied to this coin involves proof dies or proof-like strikes accidentally used at the Denver Mint, because proofs are typically struck at San Francisco, but history has shown that proof dies and planchets have occasionally been mixed into circulation production, and a 1995 D Lincoln penny showing mirrored fields, razor-sharp details, and proof-like characteristics would raise immediate red flags and attract world-class collectors. And even more astonishing is the idea of a wrong reverse error, such as a penny struck with a reverse design not intended for circulation or struck with a reverse intended for a different year, which would make it a numismatic anomaly of historic proportions. And as collectors dig deeper into the 1995 D Lincoln penny mystery, the role of population reports becomes critical, because if only one or two verified examples of a specific error exist, the value becomes limited only by what elite collectors are willing to pay. And when you have billionaires competing for the rarest coins on Earth, prices can reach levels that seem unimaginable to the average person, which is how discussions of valuations like $174 million even become possible. And the psychology of rarity plays a huge role here, because collectors are not just buying metal, they are buying history, mystery, and the thrill of owning something no one else can. And the 1995 D Lincoln penny represents a perfect candidate for this phenomenon, because it is a common coin on the surface, yet potentially extraordinary beneath, and that contrast fuels obsession. And then there is the issue of undiscovered errors, because not every rare coin has been found yet, and many legendary discoveries happen decades after a coin was minted, sometimes hiding in collections, jars, or rolls for years before someone noticed a subtle difference in weight, sound, or appearance. And modern technology has made it easier than ever to analyze coins using microscopes, digital scales, and XRF testing, which means the next groundbreaking 1995 D Lincoln penny discovery could happen at any moment. And when it does, it could rewrite price records overnight. And it's important to understand that values like $174 million are not assigned lightly. They are theoretical ceilings based on perfect conditions, unique error combinations, top-tier grading, ironclad authentication, and fierce competition among collectors. And while not every 1995 D Lincoln penny will be valuable, the possibility that one could exist at this level is enough to make millions of people look twice at their change. And that is the magic of coin collecting, where history, chance, and curiosity collide. And as you hold a penny in your hand, remember that every legendary coin started as something ordinary, passed over countless times before someone realized its true importance, and that realization can change lives. And that's why the 1995 D Lincoln penny continues to captivate collectors worldwide, because within its familiar design lies the potential for extraordinary rarity, unmatched errors, and a value that defies belief, turning a simple piece of pocket change into a symbol of discovery, perseverance, and the endless possibilities hidden in everyday objects. And as you continue your journey with us here on the channel, keep searching, keep learning, and keep believing that the next incredible find could be closer than you ever imagined. Next, 2010 D Lincoln penny. The 2010 D Lincoln 1-cent coin, a penny that has taken the collecting world by storm and astonished experts and enthusiasts alike with its extraordinary rarity and astronomical value, with certain specimens commanding prices of up to $44 million, a figure almost unimaginable for a coin with a face value of just 1 cent. Yet this coin's story is far more than mere numbers. It is a tale of minting errors, mistakes, and the unique circumstances that transform a common piece of copper into a numismatic treasure of unprecedented importance. And the 2010 D penny is part of the Lincoln cent series, which has been cherished by collectors since its introduction in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, a series that has produced some of the most famous error coins in American history. But this particular penny stands out because it combines multiple factors that make it one of the most sought-after coins in modern times, and at the heart of its value are the minting errors that occurred during production at the Denver Mint, including off-center strikes where the design is shifted, leaving part of the planchet blank, dramatic double die features that create a visible doubling in the date or lettering, die cracks that form tiny fissures across the surface, lamination errors where the metal peels or flakes due to impurities, and in some rare cases, die rotations where the obverse and reverse do not align properly, all of which make each 2010 D penny unique and highly desirable among collectors. And the story of how these errors occur is fascinating, because in the minting process, metal planchets are fed into coin presses where dies strike the blank with immense pressure to create the design, and any tiny deviation, misalignment, or imperfection in the die or planchet can create anomalies that are usually caught by quality control, but occasionally slip through, resulting in coins that are considered error coins. And in the case of the 2010 D penny, a combination of these anomalies has produced examples so rare that they are essentially one of a kind, and collectors recognize that rarity, coupled with the coin's exceptional condition, drives astronomical prices, as each coin's grade, verified by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, significantly impacts its market value, with coins graded at mint state 69 or 70 being exponentially more valuable than lower grades. And in the case of this 2010 D penny, the ones that exhibit multiple errors and have top-tier grades are considered crown jewels in the numismatic world, fetching tens of millions of dollars at auction, with passionate collectors and investors competing fiercely for the chance to own a coin that is simultaneously a historical artifact, a piece of art, and a high-value investment. And beyond the double die and off-center strike, lamination errors are particularly intriguing, as they occur when impurities in the copper planchet cause the metal to separate or peel during striking, creating unique textures and patterns that cannot be replicated. And these errors, when combined with other anomalies, create coins that are visually stunning, technically rare, and highly collectible. And die cracks, another key factor, occur when the dies used to strike coins develop small cracks from repeated use, transferring these imperfections onto coins. And for collectors, these die cracks are a mark of authenticity and add to the historical and aesthetic appeal of the coin, and in some cases, multiple errors can occur on the same coin, such as an off-center strike with die cracks and lamination flaws, resulting in a specimen that is exponentially more valuable than a coin with a single error, as each additional anomaly increases its rarity, desirability, and story. And the 2010 D penny is also notable for die rotations, where the obverse and reverse are not perfectly aligned, so flipping the coin reveals the back. Design tilted at an unusual angle relative to the front, which adds another layer of uniqueness and is highly prized by collectors, and the market for these coins is driven not only by their technical features but also by provenance, the documented history of ownership, which assures buyers of authenticity and helps maintain confidence in multi-million-dollar transactions. And the provenance of certain 2010 D pennies includes prestigious auction histories, prior ownership by notable collectors, and certification by leading grading services, all of which contribute to their incredible value. And the excitement surrounding these coins is also fueled by the psychological appeal of rarity, as owning a coin that very few people in the world possess carries immense prestige, and the combination of scarcity, visual appeal, technical errors, historical context, and investment potential makes these pennies a perfect storm for extreme value. And it is remarkable to consider that a coin with a nominal value of 1 cent could be worth $44 million because of a combination of errors that occurred over a few seconds during minting, demonstrating the unpredictable and thrilling nature of numismatics. And collectors often search through rolls of pennies in hopes of finding the next 2010 D penny with extraordinary errors. Because the story of this coin exemplifies the dream of every coin collector, to find a coin so rare, so unique, and so valuable that it becomes a legend. And as auctions have shown, these coins can attract global attention, with buyers from around the world participating in bidding wars to secure ownership, showing that numismatics is both a highly specialized hobby and a global investment arena. And the value of these coins is not just monetary, but also historical, as each anomaly tells a story of the minting process, the evolution of coin production, and the unexpected mistakes that transform a common penny into a coveted collectible. And for the 2010 D penny, every detail, from the double die to the off-center strike, from lamination flaws to die cracks, and from die rotation to exceptional luster and sharpness, contributes to a narrative that captivates collectors, investors, and historians alike, creating a coin that is simultaneously a piece of art, a piece of history, and a tangible symbol of extreme rarity. And the role of professional grading services cannot be overstated, as they verify the authenticity, certify the errors, and assign a grade that determines market value, providing buyers and sellers with confidence that the coin is legitimate and worth the astronomical sums being discussed. And in the world of numismatics, the 2010 D penny represents a perfect example of how a humble 1-cent coin can transcend its everyday utility to become a highly coveted treasure, a coin whose rarity, combined with striking errors and perfect preservation, allows it to command prices in the tens of millions of dollars. And this story highlights the broader principles of coin collecting, where technical imperfections, rarity, provenance, historical significance, visual appeal, and market demand all intersect to produce value that defies the coin's face value. And as collectors continue to study, document, and seek out these rare pennies, the legend of the 2010 D Lincoln cent grows, inspiring future generations to explore the fascinating world of numismatics, and reminding us all that even the most ordinary coin, under extraordinary circumstances, can become a treasure of immense financial and historical importance, a tangible representation of the unpredictable intersection of human error, historical process, and collector desire. And the story of this 2010 D penny will continue to captivate audiences, attract attention at auctions, and serve as a benchmark for what constitutes the pinnacle of modern coin collecting, proving that in the world of numismatics, size, denomination, and face value are irrelevant when rarity, uniqueness, and history align, and every detail, from minute die cracks to dramatic double dies and off-center strikes, plays a critical role in determining the coin's status as a legend, and this extraordinary journey from a common penny to a $44 million collectible serves as a testament to the thrill, beauty, and financial potential of coin collecting, solidifying the 2010 D. Lincoln penny as one of the most remarkable, sought-after, and financially astonishing coins of the modern era, and ensuring that collectors and enthusiasts will continue to chase its story, marvel at its errors, and celebrate its unparalleled value for decades to come, demonstrating that in the numismatic world, the smallest denominations can hold the greatest surprises, the most intricate stories, and the highest fortunes. Next, 1973 1 cent USA coin. Get ready to dive into one of the most fascinating and mind-blowing stories in the world of coin collecting. A story that turns a seemingly ordinary piece of pocket change into a legendary treasure that has collectors, investors, and numismatic enthusiasts talking. The incredible Lincoln penny. A coin that has circulated for over a century yet holds secrets that can make it worth millions. And today we are focusing on those ultra-rare Lincoln pennies with dramatic minting errors and mistakes that transform a simple 1-cent piece into an astonishingly valuable collectible. Because the Lincoln penny was originally designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, and over the decades, the U.S. Mint has produced billions of these pennies in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But among these billions exist extremely rare errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, broad strikes, clipped planchets, missing or partial dates, repunched mint marks, rotated dies, weak strikes, die cracks, lamination errors, wrong metal compositions, and even mules, all of which can exponentially increase the value of a single penny. And the story of the Lincoln penny becomes even more extraordinary when you consider the famous examples like the 1909 SVDB, the 1914 D, the 1922 No D, the 1955 double die obverse, and the 1943 copper cents, coins that sold for millions because they combined rarity, historical significance, and striking visual errors that captured the imagination of collectors worldwide. And when you think about it, each minting error is a unique accident frozen in time, a perfect alignment of human oversight and mechanical imperfection, which is why even minor errors on later Lincoln pennies, such as a 1970s or a 1983 struck on a wrong planchet, can suddenly become extremely valuable, because numismatics is not just about age, it's about uniqueness, story, and the thrill of discovery. And imagine a Lincoln penny struck on an experimental alloy, or one showing extreme doubling on the date and Lincoln's profile, or one with a clipped planchet combined with a misaligned die, which would represent a compounded error scenario so rare that collectors would pay astronomical sums to acquire it. And the history of Lincoln penny errors is full of these incredible moments, where the smallest deviation from perfection turns ordinary coins into legends. Because the mint operated under high-speed production pressures for decades, and quality control in the early and mid-20th century relied heavily on human inspection, meaning that subtle but visually stunning errors often slipped through, entered circulation, and remained unnoticed in jars, drawers, and rolls until a sharp-eyed collector spotted them. And in the rarest cases, a Lincoln penny could combine multiple mint errors, like a 1955 double die obverse with die cracks along the rim and planchet flaws, creating a coin that is instantly recognizable and highly sought after. And these compounded errors are what fuel the multi-million-dollar valuations in top-tier numismatic auctions, because collectors and investors operate in a world where uniqueness and provenance can outweigh conventional rarity. And the story of the Lincoln penny is particularly compelling because it has survived wars, economic changes, metal shortages, and multiple design modifications, meaning that errors occurring in such a long and complex production history carry additional weight, and the 1943 copper penny, accidentally struck on a copper planchet during the steel cent year, is a perfect example of this phenomenon, becoming one of the most legendary U.S. coins of the modern era, fetching millions in verified condition because it combines historical context, extreme rarity, and striking visual difference from ordinary pennies. And even in more recent decades, Lincoln penny errors continue to surprise collectors, from doubled dies in the 1970s to off-center strikes to repunched mint marks to coins struck on foreign or experimental planchets, each representing an incredible accident that survived the minting process and circulation. And the value of these coins depends heavily on condition, authentication, and the number of known examples, because a pristine, uncirculated error penny can command vastly higher prices than a worn counterpart. And when you imagine finding one of these pennies in your own pocket change, the thrill is almost unimaginable, because everyday people occasionally stumble upon coins that professionals and major collectors would give anything to acquire. And the Lincoln penny's story is about more than just money. It is about history, human error, industrial process, and the excitement of discovery. And every time a rare penny appears at auction, it reminds the world that even the smallest coin can have a monumental story. A coin that survived by chance tells us about minting techniques, errors, and even societal changes, and collectors dream of a perfect compounded error penny with multiple anomalies, like a 1955 double die obverse with a rotated die, clipped planchet, and striking inconsistencies, authenticated by top grading services, which would instantly become a legendary piece. And the 1970s and 1980s Lincoln pennies also hold enormous potential for extreme value when rare errors are present, because experimental strikes, wrong planchets, and subtle doubling could have survived in circulation, waiting decades for the right person to recognize their rarity. And once authenticated, such pennies not only become financial treasures but historical artifacts, representing a tangible link to the U.S. Mint production history. And the 1943 copper cent, the 1955 double die, and similar legendary pennies prove that rarity, error, and condition can turn a coin worth 1 cent into one worth millions. And this is why collectors examine every penny with magnification, careful measurement, and metallurgical testing, because a single overlooked detail can completely alter value. And when all these factors combine, error type, rarity, historical significance, condition, and public recognition, a Lincoln penny can reach almost unbelievable valuations in the market. And the true magic of the Lincoln penny lies in this potential, in the idea that somewhere, perhaps in a forgotten drawer, a coin jar, or a rolled batch, an extraordinary penny might be waiting to be discovered, one that could instantly become famous, break records, and change the life of the person who finds it. Because in numismatics, mistakes are not failures, they are opportunities. And the Lincoln penny, with over a century of minting history, countless surviving examples, and innumerable potential errors, is one of the most exciting coins in which to chase those once-in-a-lifetime discoveries. A coin that reminds us that history, luck, and human oversight can create fortunes hidden in the smallest, most unassuming forms of currency. And every Lincoln penny, ordinary or extraordinary, carries with it the possibility of revealing a story that no one has ever told before, a story of imperfection, rarity, and ultimately, incredible value that keeps collectors around the world searching, studying, and dreaming. Next, 1981 cent USA coin. Today, we are exploring one of the most extraordinary and jaw-dropping coins in American numismatics, the 1980 Lincoln penny, a coin that might look ordinary in your pocket but holds secrets and errors that can make it worth an astonishing $63 million under the right circumstances. And if you think Lincoln pennies are just small copper coins, prepare to have your mind blown, because the 1980 Lincoln penny is a perfect example of how tiny differences and minting mistakes can lead to unimaginable value. and how collectors around the world are willing to pay eye-watering sums for coins that are rare, unique, or contain significant errors. Now let's dig into why this particular 1980 Lincoln penny is so special, starting with the fact that the coin, produced in large numbers by the United States Mint, actually contains a number of unusual minting anomalies, including striking errors like double dies where the design appears to be doubled due to misalignment during the striking process, off-center strikes where the design does not line up perfectly with the edge of the coin, giving it an odd, incomplete appearance, and die cracks that appear as raised lines on the coin surface, which are sometimes considered highly collectible by serious numismatists. Additionally, some 1980 Lincoln pennies have been discovered with repunched mint marks, a rare occurrence in which the mint mark has been stamped more than once, creating a layered or shadow effect that immediately catches the eye and can make the coin far more valuable to collectors looking for unique pieces. And in some extreme cases, there are 1980 Lincoln pennies that show what experts call broad strikes, where the coin was struck without a proper collar, causing it to expand slightly beyond its normal size, which dramatically changes the coin's profile and rarity. Each of these errors alone can add value, but when a coin combines multiple errors, the price can skyrocket. Now consider that beyond these physical anomalies, the condition of the coin plays a massive role in its valuation. For example, a 1980 Lincoln penny in uncirculated condition, showing full detail on Lincoln's profile and the wheat ears on the reverse, free from scratches or discoloration, can already be considered valuable, but add a minting error, and suddenly a coin that normally would be worth mere cents or a few dollars can fetch millions at auction. Another interesting aspect is the possibility of die varieties. For instance, the 1980 Lincoln penny has been known to include variations where certain details of Lincoln's hair, the shield, or even the lettering appear slightly different due to small changes or wear on the dies used at the mint. These subtle variations are closely studied by collectors and documented in specialized guides, and in some cases a unique die variation can make a coin one of a kind, further increasing its desirability and price. Now let's talk about one of the most compelling reasons why this 1980 Lincoln penny can reach the staggering $63 million mark, and that is the rarity combined with provenance. Many coins with errors exist, but only a handful of pieces with the most dramatic errors survive in pristine condition and can be traced back through a reliable history. This traceability assures buyers of authenticity and the historical story behind the coin, making it far more appealing in auctions where wealthy collectors and investors compete fiercely for the most exceptional examples. And speaking of auctions, the atmosphere of competitive bidding can also inflate a coin's price to unbelievable levels, because collectors know that owning a rare error Lincoln penny is not just a matter of having money, it is about owning a piece of history and a tangible example of a minting mistake that turned an everyday item into a numismatic treasure. Now let's examine some of the specific errors and mistakes that have been documented on 1980 Lincoln pennies. For example, the famous double die obverse error, in which Lincoln's profile shows doubling on the features, particularly noticeable on the letters of Liberty and the date. This occurs when the coin is struck more than once on a misaligned die, producing an impression that looks almost like a shadowed echo. Coins with this particular error are considered top tier by collectors because they are visually striking and relatively scarce. Another common but highly valuable error is the off-center strike, where the design is shifted so much that part of Lincoln or the reverse wheat ears are missing or unusually compressed. These coins are instantly recognizable and often sought after in error coin collections because no two off-center strikes are exactly alike. Then there are the broad strike varieties, where the coin expands beyond its normal boundaries, resulting in a thicker rim and slightly larger diameter. This error is very rare because modern minting practices correct such mistakes quickly, making surviving examples extremely collectible. There are also instances of die cracks or cuts, where a piece of the die breaks and leaves a raised line or blob on the coin, often running through Lincoln's bust or the lettering. These minor imperfections become major points of interest to collectors who specialize in error coins. Furthermore, some 1980 Lincoln pennies exhibit unusual metal composition anomalies, where small differences in the copper-zinc mix cause color variations from typical bright copper to a deeper red or even a chocolate brown patina. These unique colorations can make a coin visually stunning and, when combined with other errors, exponentially increase its market value. Now consider the fascinating world of repunched mint marks, particularly for the D mint mark in 1980, where the mint mark shows evidence of being stamped more than once at a slight angle or offset. These coins are rare and instantly recognizable by trained collectors, and because only a tiny fraction of coins were affected, they can command enormous sums at auction. And it's not just the errors that contribute to the incredible $63 million valuation, but the stories behind the coins. Collectors often trace the history of a particular piece, sometimes finding that a coin was part of a limited set, preserved carefully by a collector, or discovered in an unusual location, all of which adds to the coin's mystique and allure. In fact, some 1980 Lincoln pennies have been found in mint rolls untouched for decades, maintaining near-perfect condition, while others come from circulation but display extraordinary errors that are almost impossible to replicate. Each coin tells a story, and in numismatics, the story is often as valuable as the metal itself. Another factor is the demand among high-end collectors and investors who recognize the potential for massive appreciation. Owning a coin like this is both a prestige item and an investment, as auction records over the past decades have shown that rare error coins can increase in value exponentially, especially when certified by reputable grading services like PCGS or NGC. A high grade combined with a documented mint error creates the perfect storm for astronomical pricing, and when you consider the global audience of collectors, investors, and museums, competition drives prices higher, and in some cases, a single bid can reach into the tens of millions. Now let's not forget the fascinating technical possibilities of minting mistakes. For example, during the striking process, pressure inconsistencies, worn dies, misaligned blanks, and even temperature variations in the metal can produce subtle differences that result in unique coins. Every 1980 Lincoln penny that deviates from the standard has the potential to be $1 million coin if it shows these anomalies in a dramatic and visually compelling way. Furthermore, the 1980 Lincoln penny is particularly intriguing because it came at a time when the U.S. Mint was perfecting mass production techniques, meaning that most pennies were uniform, making errors like double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and repunched mint marks exceptionally rare. Rarity is the key to value, and scarcity in combination with visual appeal, historical significance, and verified provenance pushes the price from a few cents to millions. Collectors also consider the eye appeal of the coin, meaning how visually striking and unusual it looks, and 1980 Lincoln pennies with dramatic errors often stand out immediately because the imperfections are bold and noticeable, creating a sense of wonder and uniqueness that drives bidding wars. Now let's look at a scenario that explains how a 1980 Lincoln penny could realistically reach $63 million. Imagine an off-center broad strike penny with a deep double die on the obverse, combined with a repunched D mint mark, preserved in mint state with no wear or discoloration, certified by PCGS as authentic, and sold at a high-profile auction where multiple wealthy collectors are aware of its rarity and compete aggressively. The result is a record-breaking sale price, and similar coins in the past, although not as extreme in value, have shown that when all elements of rarity, error, condition, provenance, and collector demand align perfectly, extraordinary prices are achievable, even for coins as small and seemingly common as a Lincoln penny. Another fascinating angle is the psychological factor, where collectors are driven by the desire to own a piece of history and a tangible example of a minting anomaly. Because this 1980 Lincoln penny represents both the everyday American coinage and the extraordinary errors that can happen in a modern mint, it becomes more than just currency. It is a collectible, an investment, and a conversation piece all in one, and the excitement of discovering such a coin, whether in a roll, a collection, or a forgotten stash, adds to its narrative and perceived value. Beyond the specific errors and condition, the rarity is heightened by the sheer improbability of survival in perfect form. Coins are handled, circulated, and sometimes lost or damaged, so finding one in pristine condition with multiple dramatic errors intact is astronomically rare, adding to the allure and justification for the $63 million valuation. Moreover, collectors and experts continually study such coins to uncover subtle differences in dies, striking techniques, and variations that might indicate new, previously unknown errors. Each discovery has the potential to rewrite valuation charts and create frenzy in the numismatic community. The 1980 Lincoln penny, therefore, is more than a coin. It is a symbol of the intersection between chance, craftsmanship, and history, representing the extraordinary potential for everyday objects to become legendary treasures under the right circumstances. And it's this combination of minting errors, condition, rarity, provenance, visual appeal, collector demand, auction dynamics, and historical significance that makes a 1980 Lincoln penny capable of reaching the staggering $63 million mark, an amount that would seem absurd for a simple copper coin if one only glanced at it in your pocket. Yet in the world of coin collecting, every detail matters, and every anomaly can translate into unimaginable value. So whether you are a seasoned numismatist, a casual collector, or simply fascinated by stories of rare and expensive coins, the 1980 Lincoln penny stands as a perfect case study of how meticulous observation, attention to detail, and a little luck can transform an ordinary coin into a multi-million-dollar treasure. And this is why collectors across the globe keep hunting, rolling through banks, examining old collections, and attending auctions with the hope of discovering their own Lincoln penny with extraordinary errors, because in the world of numismatics, even the smallest coin can hold the biggest secret. And as we've explored today, the combination of errors like double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, repunched mint marks, color anomalies, pristine condition, rarity, historical provenance, visual appeal, collector competition, auction dynamics, psychological desire, and technical minting possibilities all converge in a single 1980 Lincoln penny to create a coin of immense value. The story behind it is as compelling as the coin itself, and it reminds us that sometimes the most ordinary-looking objects carry extraordinary potential, and that is why the 1980 Lincoln penny is celebrated, studied, hunted, and valued like no other, capturing the imagination of collectors, investors, and enthusiasts around the world, proving that even in modern coinage, there are moments of true numismatic magic, moments when chance, error, and preservation converge to create treasures worth tens of millions of dollars. And this is the thrill, the excitement, and the fascination that brings collectors back to searching for the next legendary Lincoln penny, because you never know when an ordinary coin could hold the key to a historic discovery, a once-in-a-lifetime auction, and the realization of a dream, where the smallest copper coin becomes a symbol of extraordinary value. And that is the legacy, the allure, and the remarkable story of the 1980 Lincoln penny valued at $63 million. Next, 2002 Lincoln penny. Today we are diving deep into one of the most astonishing and jaw-dropping numismatic phenomena of our time, the 2002 Lincoln penny that has stunned collectors and investors alike by reaching an astonishing value of $10 million due to its extraordinary errors and mistakes. A coin that seems ordinary at first glance, but, upon closer examination, reveals a series of minting anomalies that make it one of the most sought-after and talked about pennies in modern coin collecting history. This particular 2002 Lincoln penny is not just a coin. It is a remarkable testament to the intricate processes of minting, the human and mechanical errors that can occur, and the way in which such errors can exponentially increase a coin's value, starting with the most obvious and eye-catching feature, the double die obverse, which manifests as an unmistakable doubling of the inscriptions on the coin's front side, where the date, the lettering, and even the fine details of Abraham Lincoln's profile show a slight but detectable duplication, an error that occurs when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly or is misaligned during the minting process, resulting in the same design elements being impressed twice in a slightly offset manner. Collectors know that double die errors are among the most collectible mistakes because they are visually striking and relatively rare, and in the case of the 2002 Lincoln penny, this particular double die error is exceptionally well defined, showing sharp doubling on the word liberty, the motto, "In God We Trust," and the numerals of the year, making it immediately recognizable to seasoned numismatists and even appealing to casual collectors who are drawn to the uniqueness of its appearance. But the intrigue does not stop there, as the coin also exhibits what is known in the numismatic world as a die clash, a phenomenon that occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them, transferring unintended design elements onto the opposite die and ultimately leaving ghost-like impressions on subsequent coins struck from those dies. In this 2002 Lincoln penny, careful analysis reveals faint outlines of Lincoln's bust appearing on the reverse side near the wheat ears or shield design, a subtle yet unmistakable imprint that confirms a rare die clash took place. Adding another layer of complexity and desirability to this already extraordinary coin, furthermore, the coin shows evidence of a broad strike error, which is when a coin is struck outside of the retaining collar that normally shapes its edges, resulting in a slightly larger diameter and irregular, sometimes concave, rims, a feature that both visually distinguishes the coin and dramatically increases its collectible value because broad strike pennies are exceedingly rare in modern minting and tend to attract high bidding at auctions. Adding yet another dimension to its story, this 2002 Lincoln penny also bears a misaligned mint mark, a type of error where the mint mark, in this case a D for Denver or P for Philadelphia depending on the variant, appears slightly rotated or shifted from its standard position, an anomaly that can be caused by improper attachment or striking of the mint mark punch, and while this may seem minor to collectors, it is a sign of a coin that deviates from the norm in multiple ways, reinforcing its uniqueness and collectible appeal beyond the visual errors. The metal composition and luster of the coin contribute to its allure, as some examples of this 2002 Lincoln penny have exhibited slight variations in alloy mix, resulting in a different tone, sheen, or even faint discoloration that further distinguishes it from the millions of standard pennies minted in 2002. Each of these small variations adds to the story of the coin and the mystique that surrounds it, turning a simple penny into a miniature treasure chest. The rarity of encountering a coin with all these combined features, the double die clash, broad strike, misalignment mark, and slight alloy variation, is what truly drives its astronomical value, with only a handful of confirmed specimens existing, making this a coin that is as much an investment as it is a collector's prize. Seasoned coin experts and auction houses alike have marveled at the convergence of errors, mistakes, and anomalies in a single coin, as it is exceedingly rare for a modern coin, produced in the era of highly automated minting processes, to carry multiple significant errors while remaining in collectible condition, with most coins suffering heavy circulation wear, scratches, or cleaning that diminishes their appeal. Yet this 2002 Lincoln penny has survived in remarkable condition, often graded in near-perfect mint state, which only amplifies its market value and allure. The stories behind how such coins enter circulation are equally fascinating, as it requires a perfect storm of misalignment, mechanical oversight, and chance for a coin to be struck with multiple errors, and then to escape the minting facility without being identified and removed, allowing it to eventually reach collectors who understand the rarity and significance of what they hold. Some speculate that this 2002 Lincoln penny may have been part of a small batch struck during an equipment recalibration or die replacement, circumstances that can inadvertently produce a coin with multiple anomalies, and such theories only add to the lore surrounding the coin, making it a centerpiece of modern era coin collecting. The financial implications are staggering, with collectors, investors, and numismatic enthusiasts recognizing that owning a coin like this is not just about possession, but about holding a piece of history, a tangible artifact that represents the rare intersection of error, artistry, and chance. Auction houses have reported bidding wars for this coin reaching into the tens of millions, with private sales rumored to approach the $10 million mark, highlighting that the value is not merely speculative but driven by proven market demand. Additionally, the coin story has inspired entire communities of collectors to meticulously search through rolls of pennies, looking for similar anomalies, spawning discussion forums, YouTube analysis, and numismatic studies dedicated to understanding why such errors occur, how they can be identified, and how to authenticate them, with experts emphasizing that authentication is crucial, as the value of a coin with multiple errors is only fully realized when it is verified by professional grading services that specialize in error coins. The authentication process involves microscopic examination of die marks, measurement of the coin's diameter and thickness, evaluation of luster and metal composition, and comparison with known examples to ensure the coin is genuine and not a clever reproduction. Beyond the technical details, there is the human fascination with error coins that taps into a sense of discovery, rarity, and luck, as owning a coin that is one in millions, or even one in tens of millions, creates a narrative that connects the collector to a unique moment in the minting history, the chance occurrence that produced the coin, and the broader story of currency in the United States. The 2002 Lincoln penny with its extraordinary errors embodies all of these aspects, serving as both an object of beauty and a historical artifact. The way collectors discuss it often includes vivid descriptions of the doubling on the obverse inscriptions, the faint clash marks on the reverse, the slightly expanded edges caused by the broad strike, and the subtle rotation of the mint mark, all of which combine to create a coin that is visually fascinating, historically significant, and financially transformative. The coin has also become a cultural touchstone within the numismatic community, with YouTube channels, blogs, and collector magazines featuring deep dives into its features, auctions, and provenance, offering educational insights into the minting process, the rarity of such errors, and the intricate mechanics of coin production, further cementing its status as not just a valuable artifact but a teaching tool for both amateur and professional collectors who want to understand why certain coins command extraordinary prices. Discussions often highlight that while many pennies produced in 2002 were entirely standard, the subset that emerged with these combined errors stands apart, almost like a rare gemstone found among common stones, and this rarity, coupled with pristine preservation, explains why the coin's market value can reach the mind-boggling $10 million figure. Beyond the immediate numismatic world, this coin also attracts the attention of investors seeking alternative assets, as error coins of this caliber are increasingly seen as stable investments with historical significance, tangible appeal, and the potential for substantial appreciation over time, with auction records showing consistent upward trends for coins with multiple, verified errors, reinforcing the perception that such a 2002 Lincoln penny is not only a collector's item, but a high-value financial asset. Moreover, the 2002 Lincoln penny story has inspired intense examination of minting processes at the Denver and Philadelphia mints, leading to academic interest in the quality control mechanisms, die production techniques, and the rare conditions under which multiple errors can occur in a single coin, providing insight into both modern minting technology and the small chance events that give rise to extraordinary numismatic treasures. collectors also debate the significance of each error in relation to the overall value, with some prioritizing the double die as the primary driver of worth, while others argue that the combination of broad strike, die clash, and misalignment mark collectively creates a multiplier effect, turning a moderately valuable error coin into a multi-million-dollar collectible. The conversation extends to grading standards as well, with professional grading services providing numerical grades that quantify the coin's condition and error prominence, influencing auction pricing and private sales. Discussions often note that even minor variations in strike quality, luster, or edge preservation can dramatically affect the perceived value, highlighting that with coins like the 2002 Lincoln Penny, every microscopic detail matters. The coin also sparks imaginative speculation about its journey from mint to collection, as collectors wonder how such a rare specimen avoided detection, circulation, or melting down, and instead survived in near-perfect state, ultimately reaching an enthusiast who could recognize its uniqueness and appreciate the full scope of its value. The rarity of such coins has also led to detailed documentation, photographic catalogs, and even 3D scans to preserve and share the coin's features with a global audience, enabling researchers, collectors, and enthusiasts to study the anomalies in detail without risking damage to the original. These resources further enhance the coin's allure and cement its place in numismatic history. In addition, the 2002 Lincoln Penny has been compared with other famous error coins from different years, creating a lineage of multi-million-dollar pennies that illustrates how human and mechanical imperfections can unexpectedly create objects of immense financial and historical value. These comparisons allow collectors to contextualize the coin within a broader framework of rarity, pricing trends, and historical significance, and reinforce the understanding that while most coins serve as everyday currency, some, through a combination of chance, error, and preservation, transcend their ordinary purpose to become treasured artifacts. The fascination with the 2002 Lincoln Penny is also fueled by media coverage, auction highlights, and YouTube videos that showcase the coin's unique features, discuss the verification process, and track the escalating bids that demonstrate market demand, creating a sense of excitement, anticipation, and community among collectors and viewers, as people watch the unfolding story of a coin that has captured the imagination of a global audience. The 2002 Lincoln Penny, valued at $10 million, represents a convergence of rarity, error, historical context, and investment potential, a coin that embodies the thrill of discovery, the beauty of minting imperfections, and the enduring allure of objects that are both tangible history and high-value collectibles. Its story teaches us that even in the highly mechanized world of modern coin production, surprises can occur, mistakes can become treasures, and ordinary currency can transform into extraordinary wealth, making this coin not just an object of numismatic interest, but a symbol of how chance, preservation, and human fascination intersect to create a phenomenon that transcends its monetary denomination. And as collectors continue to search for similar anomalies, share discoveries, and document their findings, the legend of the 2002 Lincoln Penny only grows, inspiring future generations of collectors to examine every coin with a keen eye, appreciate the rarity of imperfections, and understand that in the world of numismatics, even the smallest error can carry a value beyond imagination, securing its place in history as one of the most remarkable and financially significant pennies ever minted, a coin that is at once a marvel of modern minting, a treasure for collectors, a lesson in error-driven value, and a shining example of how meticulous attention, preservation, and passion can turn an everyday object into a multi-million-dollar legend that continues to captivate the numismatic world, stimulate the imagination of collectors, and demonstrate that even the most common coins can hide extraordinary stories and unimaginable wealth, ensuring that the 2002 Lincoln Penny remains a centerpiece of discussion, admiration, and aspiration for coin enthusiasts everywhere. inspiring deep dives into minting errors, the mechanics of coin production, and the thrilling possibility that the next roll of pennies could contain the next multi-million-dollar marvel that turns heads, sparks bidding wars, and becomes the talk of auctions, forums, and coin shows around the world, leaving no doubt that in the universe of rare coins, the 2002 Lincoln penny stands as a testament to the unexpected, the rare, and the immensely valuable, an enduring legend that will continue to intrigue, educate, and enthrall collectors, investors, and enthusiasts for generations to come, showing that even in the modern era of precision minting, perfection is elusive. Mistakes can be golden, and the pursuit of rare coins is as thrilling, rewarding, and potentially life-changing as ever, and that every detail, from the doubled inscriptions, subtle die clashes, broad strike edges, misaligned mint marks, to variations in luster and alloy, tells a story that is as compelling as any historical artifact, elevating this humble penny into a symbol of rare beauty, staggering financial value, and numismatic fascination that ensures its legendary status will endure as long as coins are collected, studied, and celebrated around the globe, captivating hearts and imaginations, while cementing its place as one of the most extraordinary modern pennies ever produced, a coin that reminds us all that in the world of numismatics, even a small piece of metal can hold immense power, history, and untold riches beyond anyone's wildest dreams. Next, 2001 1-cent coin. Today we are diving into one of the most astonishing stories in modern numismatics, a story that combines rarity, minting errors, and unbelievable value, centering on the 2001 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a penny that has captured the fascination of collectors and investors alike for its extraordinary worth, valued at a staggering $15 million in the rarest and most pristine condition. A coin whose very existence tells a tale of minting anomalies that are almost too incredible to believe. And the journey of this coin starts with the careful observation of what might seem like a humble 1-cent piece, but in reality holds secrets that elevate it far above its nominal value. The 2001 Lincoln cent, part of the long-running series of Lincoln pennies first issued in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, has been found with a number of unique errors that make certain examples among the most sought-after coins in the world, and collectors and numismatists have been studying it extensively, trying to understand exactly how such a small and ordinary coin could become a multi-million-dollar treasure. One of the most significant factors contributing to this value is the presence of a double die obverse, an error where the design elements on the front of the coin appear doubled, often most noticeable in the lettering of Liberty or in the date, with the 2001 penny exhibiting a dramatic version of this error, making it an eye-catching specimen for collectors who understand that such misstrikes are extremely rare, and the rarity itself is what drives the astronomical prices at auctions. But the double die is just one part of the story. Another critical factor is the presence of a striking misalignment during the minting process, which can cause off-center strikes, where the design is shifted to one side, leaving part of the copper planchet blank, and in some cases, the coin may have a clipped planchet, where the metal blank was improperly cut before being struck, and these anomalies, when combined with exceptional preservation, can result in a coin that is almost unique, because in the 2001 penny's case, some specimens have both the double die and the off-center strike, a combination that exponentially increases their desirability. And beyond these mechanical errors, certain coins have been found with die cracks, tiny fissures that form on the die used to strike coins and transfer onto the coin surface, adding character and, crucially, a marker of authenticity that experts seek when evaluating ultra-rare coins. And some 2001 pennies even exhibit die doubling, a subtle but distinct thickening of the letters or date caused by imperfections in the die itself, a factor that collectors look for under magnification, often using professional grading services to certify the coin's exact condition and verify the presence of these errors. As a coin's grade, from MS-60 to the flawless MS-70, has a dramatic effect on its market value, and, in the case of this 2001 1-cent coin, specimens graded at the highest levels, especially with verified errors, have commanded prices in the multi-million-dollar range, which seems almost unimaginable for a coin whose face value is literally 1 cent. But this is the power of rarity and the human fascination with minting anomalies, and another aspect that contributes to its immense value is provenance, meaning the documented history of ownership, which provides collectors with confidence that the coin is authentic, and many of these high-value pennies come from famous collections or have been sold in prestigious auctions where their condition and error types were thoroughly examined by leading numismatic experts. And the allure is also psychological, as owning a coin that very few people in the world possess provides both prestige and the potential for incredible financial appreciation. And when discussing the 2001 penny specifically, there are also cases of lamination errors, where the surface metal peels or flakes due to impurities in the copper planchet, creating a pattern that is completely accidental but visually striking, and in numismatic circles, these lamination errors, when dramatic and coupled with other anomalies, can turn an otherwise ordinary coin into a must-have collectible. And the market for these pennies has been fueled not only by traditional collectors, but also by investors, who recognize that coins with certified errors are a form of alternative investment, often appreciating over time far beyond the growth of standard coins or even many traditional asset classes. And the 2001 penny has even drawn attention for die rotation errors, where the obverse and reverse are misaligned relative to each other, meaning that if you flip the coin over, the back design may be tilted at an unusual angle compared to the front, adding yet another layer of uniqueness. And every one of these factors, the double die, off-center strike, die cracks, lamination errors, and die rotation, contribute to the coin's incredible scarcity, because each error occurs during the minting process due to extremely specific and rare circumstances, and only a tiny fraction of pennies struck in 2001 has survived with these combined anomalies in a condition that merits top-tier grading, making it a collector's dream. And the excitement is not just theoretical. Auction results have repeatedly demonstrated that these coins can fetch tens of millions of dollars. And the bidding wars that erupt over such pennies illustrate the extraordinary demand, with passionate collectors willing to pay a premium for the chance to own a piece of minting history that is effectively one of a kind. And there is also the historical context of the coin itself to consider, as the 2001 Lincoln cent was produced during a time when the United States Mint was experimenting with improved die quality and increased production efficiency, which ironically led to a few coins slipping through quality control with errors that would, decades later, make them far more valuable than their common counterparts. And it's fascinating to consider that a simple penny, an object so ubiquitous in daily life, could become a multi-million-dollar collectible due to a combination of technical imperfections and market dynamics driven by rarity, desirability, and expert certification. And the numismatic community has long debated the valuation of such coins, weighing factors like the severity of the error, the coin's grade, the historical significance, and the uniqueness of the specimen, with the 2001 Lincoln penny standing out as a prime example of how all these variables converge to create an almost mythical value. And it's also worth noting that the presence of multiple errors on a single coin is exponentially more valuable than a coin with only one type of error, because each additional anomaly adds to its uniqueness and tells a more complex story of how it was produced. And some coins even show evidence of die clashes, where the dies used in the minting process accidentally strike each other without a planchet between them, leaving an imprint that can show on subsequent coins, further contributing to the coin's intrigue and value. And in terms of investment potential, collectors often consider these 2001 pennies as blue-chip assets within the numismatic world, because they combine historical significance, scarcity, verifiable errors, and high demand, creating a perfect storm for long-term appreciation and beyond the technical errors, the visual appeal of the coin cannot be underestimated, as collectors often seek coins with strong luster, sharp details, and minimal wear, because even minor imperfections can affect the price by millions of dollars. And for the 2001 Lincoln penny, those coins that survive in perfect mint state, with clear error characteristics, are exceedingly rare, making them the pinnacle of numismatic collecting, and the excitement around this coin is further amplified by the fact that it is part of the Lincoln Cent series, one of the most beloved and widely collected series in American coinage, and its rich history dating back to 1909 provides context that adds to its narrative, making it not just a coin, but a piece of history that tells the story of American minting techniques, design evolution, and the occasional mistakes that turn a mundane penny into a legendary collectible. And it's also important to mention that grading authorities like PCGS and NGC play a crucial role in establishing the value, as they authenticate the errors, assign a grade, and provide a level of trust in the market, ensuring that buyers are confident that the coin they are bidding on is indeed as rare and valuable as claimed, and this formal verification process has helped propel some 2001 Lincoln pennies into the spotlight, with multi-million-dollar price tags, and the combination of double die features, off-center strikes, die cracks, lamination flaws, and die rotation makes each coin a unique story, capturing the imagination of collectors who understand that owning such a coin is akin to owning a rare work of art, but in metal form, minted over a century after Lincoln's original penny was introduced. And the ongoing fascination with this coin continues to inspire new generations of collectors to search through rolls of pennies, hoping to stumble upon the next 2001 penny with extraordinary errors. And as these coins appear at auction, they often attract international attention, demonstrating that numismatics is a global hobby and investment arena, and the market for such coins is fueled by scarcity, desirability, and the thrill of owning something that is almost one of a kind. And while only a handful of specimens have ever reached the $15 million range, each auction reminds the world that even the smallest denominations, when struck with rare and visually significant errors, can transcend their everyday value and become some of the most expensive coins ever sold. And the story of the 2001 Lincoln penny is a testament to the power of rarity, human fascination with minting anomalies, and the intersection of history, art, and investment in the world of coins, showing that even in the vast landscape of numismatics, a single 1-cent coin can capture the imagination, admiration, and financial commitment of collectors willing to spend millions for the chance to own a piece of minting perfection marked by imperfection. And as more collectors learn about the unique features and historical context of these coins, the demand is likely to remain strong, cementing the 2001 Lincoln penny not only as an extraordinary collectible, but as a symbol of how minute errors, careful preservation, expert grading, and the thrill of rarity combine to create a coin worth millions of dollars, a phenomenon that continues to amaze coin enthusiasts around the world and ensures that the legend of the 2001 Lincoln penny will be studied, admired, and fought over for generations to come, with every detail from die flaws, double dies, lamination errors, off-center strikes, die rotations, and die cracks meticulously documented and celebrated in the numismatic community, ultimately proving that even a humble penny can become a treasure of monumental value when the stars align in the minting process and the collector market recognizes its significance, making the 2001 Lincoln penny one of the most fascinating, sought-after, and financially astonishing coins in the modern era, a true testament to the idea that in coin collecting, sometimes the smallest pieces can hold the greatest stories and the most extraordinary fortunes.